So this particular lesson is based off of the Bridges in Math 4th grade curriculum. Excuse me, the curriculum for Bridges in Math is broken down into units 1 through 8. Each unit has 4 modules. Each module has about 4 to 6 sessions, and each session takes approximately 1 class period to complete. So this particular SMART lesson is for the very first session in Unit 1, Module 1, the first one for the whole curriculum. And this particular lesson was designed for a one-to-one classroom. There are particular interactive pieces that the students will need one-to-one or honestly 2-to-1. They can do it in pairs in order to use. Adjustments can be made for use without the technology, but this particular lesson was designed for that in mind. Additionally, in order to use the interactive resources and to gather the data, a Smart Learning Suite login is required. Materials needed for Unit 1. If you do not have the teacher master copy, or if the teacher master copies are always in the teacher manual, and that's always good to have a copy of them. The ones that are needed for this particular session are all embedded already into this presentation. If you do not have student books for each student, then you'll want to run these particular pages as a student class. Additionally, the home connections or homework books, you want to do the same thing if you do not have the home connection or homework books for each student. Also tells you any special items or charts that need to be made before each session. If you do not have the teacher manuals, you can go online with a particular login. If your district is using this curriculum, then contact your math chair to get the login. And this link right here will take you right to the Bridges website. The skills and concepts that are going to be taught during this lesson or assessed during this lesson as well are interpreting products of whole numbers, which is a 3rd grade standard. If the students are having trouble with that, that should be a red flag. Making comparison statements for multiplication equation and solving story problems using multiplicative comparison using multiplication or division. This multiplicative comparison is the basis of our pre and post assessment, so that should have a focus when teaching. And there's a video and there's a couple of things that we will go over based on this multiplicative comparison. Math practices that their students will also be using are making sense of problems, persevering in solving them, and constructing viable arguments, particularly for the reasoning of others, and these will be shown during discussions. This is just an overview of the module in particular and for this specific session. This specific session does set our course for the year as it is titled, as it asks the students to come up with lists of what a math classroom should look like and what it should sound like, and then it gives them a chance to actually do all of those different things that they have decided that a math classroom should look and sound like. Material and preparation specific to session 1. This gives you the specific page numbers for what the students or what you will need. Now, any student book or teacher master that you will need to display is embedded right into this presentation. So you don't have to worry about making a copy. And if you do not have a one-to-one technology or two-to-one technology, then creating the charts for each one of the interactive pieces is going to be very vital. I noticed that after everybody creates the digital charts, I like to go back and create a hard copy of the charts and display them in the classroom as well. So that is all the teacher pages. So the following pages are going to be used for the presentation of the lesson. The very first thing, it goes through some vocabulary words. This is kind of our title page. And the first interactive piece that we're going to do is more of a vocabulary card. So this is all of the vocabulary cards. Now the students do not need to have, each individual one does not need to have this on their technology. You can do this as a whole class. So what you would do is click on the definition and it flips the cards. So going over each one of the definitions is going to be vital so that when you use these particular vocabulary words, students have an understanding of what it is that you were talking about. And multiplicative comparison, again, is the one that you want to focus most on, as this is the basis of our pre and post assessment. This is when you start to get the students to understand that this is what they're going to be doing for this particular session. So you're working on Learn Mathematics, looks like, sound like. You want to make sure that they understand that the reason we're doing this is because we're building a community of learners. Help them get involved. Help them by answering this question, what will help you do well in math this year? Remind them that students come to school to learn and you want to do everything that you can. I noticed that when you call the students mathematicians or scholars, they sometimes get a little bit more engaged about that. And you want to really focus on building that community. So this is where you introduce the 3 different charts that we're going to make. And they're going to tell me what it looks like and it sounds like during independent work, whole class lesson, and playing a game. During this Bridges program, playing a game is called Workplaces. And they're all very specific math games that focus on 1 or 2 specific 4th grade standards. And a lot of the times it can get very loud, so making sure that you focus on the sounds like option for playing a game, and that it should be in quiet voices, and make sure it's math talk. That's going to be pretty vital. So these next 3 slides are going to be essentially the same thing, but they are going to be focusing on each specific time. So this is where the Math Learning Suite, the Smart Learning Suite login is going to, you're going to need to be logged in already. So the students on their one-to-one technology are going to go to classlab.com and it's going to ask them to enter this code. You will be able to see on your technology how many students are connected, if somebody gets removed. You can also erase all the students, remove all the students, and they can try again. So as soon as everybody gets logged in, you'll see them all right here. You can start this activity. So what they're going to do, is this is called a shout out. Let me click it. So they are going to be able to post almost bulletin board like what it should look like during math whole group and what it should sound like during math whole group, and they'll be able to choose which category they want their idea to be placed into. And they can, for this one, it's set up so they can post 4 times. Some of them are set up, you can post more than once. You can only post once. You can set how much they are. This one is particular, it's 4. And then it's the same for independent math during independent time. And it will pop right up. During math games is the same thing. And they should be the same exact code. So when you move from one activity to the next, it should move their screen to the very next one, to the very next activity. So the first time they log in should be the only time they have to log in. And again, you'll be able to see which students get kicked out or which student leaves. So this is our pre-assessment. What do you think a multiplicative comparison is? And the kids really like saying the word multiplicative comparison. That's another engagement trick as well. This is the same thing as the shout out. They are going to post what they think it is. And I've hidden their names on there, and they'll notice that. If for some reason it got clicked off, that the names are popping up there. Once the students come on, there'll be a little button down here that says remove student names. Excuse me. So if for some reason the names are popping up, you can turn that setting off so that the kids feel maybe a little bit safer about posting something. So this is our pre-assessment, and everything will save into your account at Smart Learning Suite with the names, even if they are turned off. So this is when they're going to start actually getting into the practice of what they said that math looks like and sounds like. So you're going to go over this story problem, and you're actually going to do more of a we do, I do, we do, you do kind of a thing, mixing the I do and we do a little bit. Again, this is where we're going to do it. The students will start to do it together and work with a partner, turning and talking. There's nothing very formal in this particular spot. They'll use their math notebooks to take notes, or they can do it on interactive whiteboards. You record student responses, and this is where you'll really start to see which strategies the students really remember from last year, or which strategies the students sometimes may not remember, not recall, or have a really hard time with. So this is where you're going to start taking those anecdotal notes and starting to gather that data on where your class is in terms of multiplication.